What happens when your career looks successful on paper, but internally something feels misaligned? Many high achieving women reach a point where the work that once felt meaningful no longer fits who they are becoming. In this episode, we're talking about what that moment really looks like, why it happens, and how to begin reconnecting with what actually matters to you. Because sometimes the biggest shift in your career doesn't start with a new plan. It starts with finally listening to yourself. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to Career Growth for Working Women. This show is for women who are done waiting to be noticed and ready to be compensated for the value they already bring. I'm Shannon, a promotion and compensation coach, and I help women position themselves for real advancement, not by working harder, but by showing their value more strategically using what I call the 5% method. If you're ready for clarity, confidence, and career growth that actually pays off, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome to the show. My guest today is Lin Yuan-Su, and her story begins with a moment that many high-achieving professionals quietly recognize. Lin was sitting in her car one summer morning in Canada, crying. From the outside, everything about her career looked successful. She had a respected role working in healthcare, a six-figure salary, strong benefits, and the kind of stability many people spend years trying to reach. But internally, something felt very different. The work that once felt meaningful no longer matched who she was becoming. That moment in the parking lot became a turning point, not because she had a clear plan, but because she realized she could not continue ignoring the misalignment she felt in her life and career. Lynn eventually stepped away from that path and began building a different kind of career focused on mindset, personal growth, and helping high achievers redefine success on their own terms. Today, she works with professionals navigating big transitions, helping them to reconnect with purpose, challenging long held definitions of success, and create work that feels aligned with who they are becoming. Lynn, welcome. I'm so glad you're here today.
Wow, thank you so much, Shannon, for that introduction. That was awesome.
Okay, so let's go to that moment in your car where
hmm
that was such a turning point. What was happening internally that made you realize that something needed to change?
The moment was really, I was crying in my car out of blue. I just bursting into tears, and it was an empty parking lot. And I usually I'm a pretty bubbly, positive person. For me to get to that low point, that really shook me.
Yeah,
But reflecting back, the leading into that point was not overnight. It was a years of accumulated of this lack of fulfillment, but lack of, and also so fearful of any change because I had spent so much time, to be where I was. How could I change? No way.
right.
But I was more and more stressed out from the work that is really not meaningful for me, and stress in general as
Right.
leadership, whatever. So that was the point where I realized, whoa, first of all, let's not have anybody see me because I'm happy. I'm grateful. I am what I'm successful because everybody else says
Right.
I'm a success, and yet internally I there was a moment of very powerful, profound, I call spiritual decision, which is something got to change. um
Right.
and that was actually very calm. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what to change. I didn't know what is my next step, but that decision was so calm, and just it's almost like the storm just went away,
Oh, wow.
and everything else became so much more clear after that moment.
Wow. I think a lot of the listeners, these women that are listening, they feel the same. There's quite a few that probably feel the same way. Like, I'm stressed out. People say I'm successful. I'm supposed to be happy. But in reality, I'm burnout. I'm not happy. This is not fulfilling me. But like you had mentioned, I don't want to change because I've put so much time into this job, this position, this company. So, what would you say to that listener that's in that position right now?
They don't have to change. They don't have to change anything right away, because the change start with internally.
Mm.
Even just to recognize for yourself, because every single change is an inside and out process. We think is, oh, if I get another job, I did that for like 4 years. if I get to the next promotion, to be closer to the CEO, maybe eventually become the CEO, I would be fulfilled. I would be stress free. It's the opposite. So very often we think, oh, it's if our internal environment change, then our internal feeling is going to change. That's actually like a dog chasing its tail. That's not the way to go. You start with your own inner peace. It doesn't keep going your job if that is very important for you. Can you start practice gratitude? Can you start to practice inner peace? However you do it, work with a coach, or find
Right.
somebody, follow somebody on social media because you resonate with their message for that piece that allows you to discover who you truly are. Then you can discover what is your next step. And very often what happens is when you discover that inner peace, you realize, hey, I love my work. I actually love my life. It's just I have been focusing on what is not working or the negativity for way too long. That energetic burden, once you let that go, you feel so much lighter. Or whatever is your next step. Maybe quit your job, maybe apply for something different, but don't start there. Start with your own inner stuff.
I love that. I love that because it doesn't have to be a huge change. It's just it starts with your mindset. And I love the gratitude because I feel like you can always find gratitude, even in a horrible situation, a rough situation, when you're just totally down. You can always find one small thing that you can be in gratitude of. So, absolutely, I love that because I think that finding that gratitude, that even in that one shift is, I believe, huge in all of this.
Right, absolutely. And that's really what a moment of gratitude changed my life when I thought I knew what gratitude is, but I didn't really. But
Yeah.
then around that time when I was so stressed out, a quick story, we had a meeting with all the executive team, CEO, whatever, and I walked out so angry. Don't ask me why. I don't remember. I was angry at my own life because I feel like I'm not doing the things I love, and I still have to show up and listening to you people yapping, and something about the CEO that day. I was like, I'm so angry at you. I want to throw a chair at you, and I knew enough to not do that. And so, but
That's
I was like,
good.
I don't want to stay in this mindset, in this
Yeah.
energy. So I
Mhm.
picked up phone to the only coach I knew at the time. And she said, honey, I only have 11 minutes. I was like, I'll take whatever you have. And I started vomit of all of my complaints. And she said, at one point, she said, pause. I'm going to ask you two questions. It's around gratitude. One, can you say, give me one thing that you're really grateful about your job? And two, can you give me one thing you're grateful about your CEO, which is at the time, my direct boss?
Right.
And the job was easy. I get paid well, and I do love the people I work with and I work for. And the CEO was like, nope, nope, he's back. And yet when I was really just digging into myself, like you said, we
Mhm.
can't always find what we're looking for. I was
Right.
intentionally to look for gratitude towards this person, even though part of me was like, nope, I cannot find anything good about him. But I did. I found
Right.
something that was so profound and strong that I was so grateful for him. He trusted me. I was very green in the whole area, management area, but he trusted me to give me a very important management position, and he was very supportive. And then I burst into tears, and that's
Oh.
when my heart opened through gratitude, and I felt very different. And you can bet after that I didn't want to throw a chair at him anymore.
No, but I think that that's huge. I just think that we can all, gratitude is such a big part of how we get to choose to spend our life and choose to look at other people.
Right.
And it changes us more than it changes anybody else. And I think that that
Absolutely.
helps us go through life in general as women stronger and more empowered because we can find that gratitude.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, so true.
Okay, so what would you say to the woman that maybe she puts her identity as her job and as her work, and when that starts shifting and she's feeling unsure, what would you say to her?
start with discovering your truth. Nobody is defined by your job title, your education, not even your ethnicity, your mother tongue. None of that defines who you are. What defines you? When you discover that truth, your true connection with your own heart, with your own soul, with your own spirit, that is when you have a whole other level of wisdom
Mhm.
and knowing your truth and knowing what really matters for you. For years, I thought career was the thing that matters for me. I had a master's degree in nutrition. Become a registered dietitian was all I wanted of all of my university years, and I did it. And suddenly that became my identity. I get it. You once a dietitian, you're always a dietitian. And when I heard stories, people give out their dietitian title, I'm like, oh, how dare you? How could you do that? That is stupid. And yet when it's not a fit, when I realize what really matters for me in my life, this is me, not anybody. Everybody can, you are the highest authority. You got discovered for myself. I heard my fellow dietitians saying, who are older than me, saying, really, work is just work. The most important thing is your family. I was
Mhm.
like, I judge you. Work is the most important thing. I give my life to it. Until later on, I realized, oh, sorry, I almost said something. It is my family. It
Mhm.
is those people who spend most amount of time with me. A
Right.
work, a career is important because that is my creative outlet. That is my contribution to humanity is important. But for me, I realized the most important thing for me, the priority is my family.
Mhm.
And then it comes this calling of whatever I mean to do. And then you realize, oh, whatever I went to school for, whatever I did, whatever the title is, they don't define me. When you have that feeling, oh, girlfriend, you are powerful and unstoppable.
Right. I agree. I agree. Because I mean, I think we've both been in that same boat of like, oh, career, 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 because that's how we're taught when we're younger. Like, your career is everything. But then, for me, I got married and then I started having kids, and I'm like, oh, this little human that I'm holding means so much to me. I love empowering these other women, but I get to empower this woman, my daughter, as well. And then obviously now my son. But like, I just remember that moment of, oh, this is amazing. I get to now do both. But her looking into my eyes, to me was very powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it took me crying in the car to realize that. So,
Yeah.
and we all go through our different journeys. Yet,
Right, right.
I hope your listeners won't have to go through crying in any spot because they're so just misaligned with what they're doing. Think about it. We spend most of the time if you work 40 hours a week, that's most of the time that you are awake in a week.
Correct.
So it doesn't mean, you want to work part-time, whatever, is energetically know where you're at and know
Yeah.
what really most important for you. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So when they feel like these little listeners are disconnecting from their life or even their job, what advice would you give them to rediscover what's best for them, like how to reconnect to their life, how to reconnect to their career?
take deep breath first and foremost, calm down, because if we're coming from the place of frustration, we can never receive good ideas through our own wisdom. And take a few breaths, calm yourself. And then if I'm very practical, so very practical idea, write down, just give yourself 5 years, 10 years, or even 3 years, anything is possible. What would you love to experience in your life? Write it all, let it just flow through, and whatever ideas come through you, just write everything down until you just everything is on paper. And that is when you can reflect upon to say, oh, what really matters for you? Is that going to be a job? Is that going to be a business? Is it going to be a career change? Or is it going to be a full-time to become a full-time stay-home mom, or whatever it is? Open
Right.
up a ice cream shop, whatever your heart desire is going to be on that paper. And if you
Right.
don't see it, keep going, do another one, do another one, give yourself. And meanwhile, listen to a podcast like this, find yourself a coach, have a conversation. I believe great coaches never go right into sales. I truly believe that. It's like, what can I do to serve? What can I do to help? Have a
Right.
conversation and allow other people to help you to have a conversation with your loved ones, with your best friend who you think they have the wisdom to support you to discover your clarity. And clarity is always the give you shine this light on what you ought to do next.
Right. I love that because sometimes we're a little too close to ourselves to see
Right.
it. And so, like you said, like brain dumping it or having that conversation with a loved one, whether it's your spouse or your best friend, they'll be able to see something and point that out. And then
Right.
it'll open that your mind up and be like, oh, that's it. And so I love that. And that's connecting. That's connecting with other people too.
Yes,
So
yes,
brings back
absolutely.
that connection part. So this
Yes.
has been such a great conversation. Where can our listeners connect with you? What's the best place to find you?
Yes, social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Search my name. My name is quite unique, and you will see my face. I think it's
Love
the
it.
combination is very you very often unmistakable. So,
Yeah.
and I love to connect. I love to support people because you and I we are a coach because we are passionate to help people who are maybe going through what we went through. So to shorten your journey, to shorten
Right.
to avoid some mistakes that I've made, and to so you can really have a life that is filled with a whole other level of enjoyment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, as we wrap up today, I always love to leave my listeners with a small action step or a mind shift change that they can make today. So, what is one step that you would challenge the women listening to do today or this week?
Ooh, take 3 deep breaths and tell yourself you love yourself. I love me, just from a very calm place. Let's
Yes,
start there.
I love that. And do it in the mirror. I
Doing
think
it
add
in
it to the
the
mirror. I make my son do that sometimes when he
mirror.
starts saying negative thoughts about himself. Like, go say that to the person looking in the mirror because
Yes,
it's
yes.
harder. You want to say those positive things to yourself.
Mhm, absolutely. And when once you are willing to do that, that is when you're growing yourself.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Well, Lynn, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Janet.
Before you go, I want you to know this. You don't have to figure out your next move alone. If you're feeling stuck, under recognized, or unsure what's realistically possible in your current role, I offer promotion strategy calls where we walk through your goals, your role, and what makes the most sense for you next. No pressure, just clarity. You can book that call through the link in the description. And if this episode resonated, would you share it with another woman who might need it right now? Leaving a review also helps this show reach more women who are ready for real career growth. I'll see you next time.